Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start off today by telling you a story. There was a man traveling through the desert, dry, dusty, nothing but miles of sand in every direction. He was tired, worn out, ready to give up. But just when he thought he couldn't go any further, he looked down and saw a tiny blade of grass pushing up through the cracked ground. It didn't seem like much, just one little strand. But to him, it was a sign of hope. It was a reminder that even in the driest, most barren places, life can still spring up. And I believe that's a picture of what God wants to do in your life. You may feel like you're in a desert right now. Nothing's changing. Doors aren't opening. The relationship didn't work out. But I came to encourage you, there's grass in your desert. There's a blessing in that dry place. There's new life springing up where you thought nothing could grow. You're closer than you think to a breakthrough. You're closer than you realize to seeing God do something unusual, something extraordinary, not in the perfect conditions, but right there in the middle of your desert. Sometimes in life, we find ourselves walking through barren places. It seems like nothing is happening, nothing is growing, nothing is moving. We pray, we believe, we stand strong, but everything around us looks dry and lifeless. It's easy to get discouraged in those moments. It's easy to think, maybe it's just not meant to be. Maybe this dream will never happen. Maybe I'll always be stuck in this situation. But the truth is, just because you don't see anything happening on the surface, doesn't mean that God isn't working behind the scenes. When you look at a desert, all you see is sand, rocks, and miles of emptiness. It doesn't look like anything could survive there, let alone thrive. But underneath that dry ground, there are seeds buried, waiting for the right moment to sprout. Some of those seeds can lay dormant for years, even decades, but the moment they get just a little bit of water, they burst forth into life. Flowers bloom, plants grow, color fills the landscape. It goes from looking hopeless to looking like a beautiful garden almost overnight. That's how God works in our lives. He's planted seeds in you, seeds of promise, seeds of destiny, seeds of greatness. And even when it seems like nothing is happening, those seeds are still alive. They're still full of potential. You may be walking through a dry season right now. You may not see any signs of progress, but God is saying, just hold on. Just stay in faith. I'm about to send the rain. I'm about to cause new life to spring up in places you thought were dead. The beauty of it is when it happens, it's not going to be something small, something ordinary. It's going to be something extraordinary. It's going to be something you couldn't make happen on your own. It's going to be obvious to everyone around you that it wasn't you, it wasn't luck, it was the hand of God. The desert is not the end of your story. It's just a temporary season. It's a setup for something greater. I love how nature shows us glimpses of what God is capable of. There's a phenomenon called a super bloom that happens in deserts. After a long drought, when the right conditions finally come together, a little rain, a little warmth, suddenly millions of wildflowers erupt all across the desert floor. People travel from all over the world to see it because it's so rare, so stunning. What once looked dead becomes a breathtaking display of beauty. That's a picture of what God is about to do in your life. You've been faithful. You've kept believing. You kept doing the right thing when the wrong thing would have been easier. Now, you're about to see a super bloom, not just a little blessing, not just a small improvement, but an overwhelming outpouring of favor, healing, opportunities, and restoration. Places that were barren are about to overflow with new life. And here's the thing, nobody expects grass to grow in the desert. Nobody plans for flowers to bloom in the middle of nowhere. That's why it's so powerful. When God brings life in barren places, it's a reminder that He's not limited by circumstance. He's not limited by the economy, by medical reports, by the way things look in the natural. He is supernatural. He can make a way where there seems to be no way. Maybe people have counted you out. Maybe they've said, you'll never get well. You'll never get out of debt. You'll never accomplish that dream. That's okay. They don't get the final say. People might write you off, but God writes you back in. People see the desert, but God sees the harvest. People see emptiness, but God sees fullness. If you'll just keep trusting, keep believing, keep moving forward, you're going to step into a season where life bursts forth all around you. You might feel tired, you might feel like giving up, but don't quit in the desert. Don't give up in the dry place. It's only temporary. Your rain is coming. Your breakthrough is already on its way. There's going to be such a transformation that you'll look back and say, I never would have imagined that something so beautiful could come out of something so barren. That's the goodness of God. That's His faithfulness. Remember, it's not about what you see right now. It's about what's happening beneath the surface. Seeds are getting ready to sprout. Favor is getting ready to chase you down. Opportunities are lining up. Healing is being released. Restoration is on its way. Keep your eyes open. Keep your heart full of hope. You're not stuck in the desert. You're passing through. And when you come out on the other side, you won't even recognize the place because of how much new life God is going to bring into it. Stay in faith. Stay expectant because life is coming to your barren places. And it's going to be more beautiful, more abundant, and more blessed than you ever dreamed. When you look at a desert, it's easy to assume that nothing good could come out of it. You see the cracks in the earth, the endless stretches of dust and rocks, and it feels like the perfect picture of hopelessness. But what you can't see with your natural eyes is the potential hidden beneath the surface. You can't see the seeds that are buried deep in the ground, waiting patiently for the right conditions to emerge. In the same way, when you look at your own life, it's tempting to judge your future based on how barren today may appear. It's tempting to believe that if things look dry, if doors aren't opening, if dreams aren't blossoming, then maybe you've been forgotten. But what you see with your natural eyes is only a small fraction of the story. There is so much more happening beneath the surface than you realize. In life, it's important to remember that appearances can be deceiving. Just because you don't see immediate results doesn't mean that growth isn't taking place. Just because everything seems still on the outside doesn't mean the process of transformation hasn't already begun on the inside. In fact, many of the greatest breakthroughs are set into motion long before you ever see the first visible sign. The preparation happens in secret. The foundation is laid out of sight. The roots go deep before the sprout ever breaks through the soil. And if you give up just because you don't see anything yet, you'll miss out on the incredible harvest that's right around the corner. It's easy to feel discouraged when your efforts don't seem to match your results. You pray, but the answer doesn't come. You work hard, but the promotion doesn't arrive. You sow kindness, but the relationship doesn't heal. In those moments, it's natural to think nothing is happening. But the truth is, everything is happening. The forces that control the visible world are being aligned. The right people, the right doors, the right moments are all being prepared, orchestrated, arranged for your good. Just because you can't track the progress with your eyes doesn't mean it isn't moving behind the scenes. One of the greatest challenges we face is trusting the process when we don't understand the timing. We live in a world that celebrates instant results, fast food, quick downloads, overnight shipping. Everything around us teaches that if something takes too long, it must not be worth it. But God's ways are higher. His timing is perfect. He sees the full picture when we can only see one frame. And sometimes the delay is not a denial, it's actually a sign that what He's preparing for you is far bigger than you imagine. It takes more time to build something that will last. It takes more preparation to create something extraordinary. When you understand this principle, you stop letting circumstances dictate your emotions. You stop basing your hope on what you see with your physical eyes. You start trusting that just because you're in a season of waiting, it doesn't mean you're in a season of wasting. You realize that the dry places aren't there to defeat you, they're there to deepen you. They're teaching you endurance, they're refining your faith, they're making sure that when your moment comes, you're ready to handle it with wisdom and grace. Sometimes the things that look like setbacks are actually setup. What seems like a loss is really making space for a greater gain. What feels like a closed door is actually redirecting you to a better one. But if you only judge by what you see right now, you'll misinterpret the very season that's working in your favor. Faith means believing in what you cannot see yet. It means staying confident even when nothing around you gives you a reason to. It means trusting that the story isn't over just because this chapter looks difficult. There's a strength that develops when you learn to walk by faith and not by sight. There's a maturity that forms when you can praise even in the drought, when you can stay joyful even in the delay, when you can remain hopeful even when the evidence says you shouldn't. And it's that strength, that maturity, that faith that positions you to receive the fullness of the blessing when it finally breaks through. When the shift happens, and it will, it often comes suddenly. One moment, you're looking at a dry desert. The next, you're standing in a field of new life, and you realize that all along, beneath the dust and dryness, the seeds of promise were alive, protected, growing in ways you could not see. You realize that not a single tear, not a single prayer, not a single act of faith was wasted. Every moment of endurance, every step of obedience, every word of hope was watering something inside you, preparing you for a harvest bigger than you dreamed. So don't lose heart when you don't see what you've been praying for yet. Don't get discouraged when the landscape of your life looks empty. Remember, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. Just because it looks barren doesn't mean the blessing isn't on its way. Trust the hidden work. Trust the unseen growth. Trust the process that's bringing you closer every day to the beauty that's about to break through. In the end, you'll see that everything you couldn't see was working in your favor all along. There's something powerful about staying expectant even when everything around you tells you otherwise. When the heat is on, when the pressure feels overwhelming, when the resources seem scarce, that's when real faith shows up. It's easy to believe when you see signs of progress. It's easy to stay encouraged when doors are opening and opportunities are flowing. But the real test of your spirit comes when you're standing in what feels like a dry land, when you're facing circumstances that look impossible, when nothing in the natural seems to be working in your favor. That's when you have a decision to make. Are you going to shrink back in doubt, or are you going to stand up in faith and believe that something good is still on the way? When you live with expectation, you're sending a signal to your future that you're ready for what's coming. So you're saying with your attitude, I don't have to see it to believe it. I know it's on the way. That kind of posture moves things in the unseen realm. That kind of posture prepares you to receive blessings that you couldn't have orchestrated on your own. Expectation is like a magnet for miracles. It keeps your spirit open. It keeps your heart ready. It keeps you from getting stuck in negativity, from being trapped by disappointment, from letting bitterness take root. Too often we let what we see around us lower our level of expectation. We think it's been too long. Maybe it's not going to happen, or there's no sign of change. Maybe I'm just stuck here. But if you allow the drought to dictate your dreams, you'll miss the abundance that's meant for you. You have to keep the vision alive. Even when the circumstances look dead, you have to keep speaking life over your future, even when the evidence says otherwise. That's what champions do. That's what people of great faith learn to master, the ability to stay hopeful when everything else says give up. The truth is, what you expect, you attract. If you walk around expecting defeat, expecting bad breaks, expecting more disappointment, then you'll find yourself living out exactly what you anticipated. But if you wake up every day expecting favor, expecting opportunities, expecting breakthroughs, you'll find those good things starting to track you down. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about choosing a higher reality. It's about fixing your eyes not just on what is, but on what can be, through grace and perseverance. Think about a farmer who plants seeds in a dry season. He doesn't walk away in discouragement because the ground looks hard. He didn't say, well, I guess nothing's going to happen. No, he plants those seeds in expectation. He waters them. He cares for the soil. He keeps looking for signs of growth. He understands that the harvest doesn't come overnight, but that doesn't stop him from believing it will come. In the same way, your expectation is what nurtures the seeds of your dreams. It's what waters the promises that have been planted inside you. And even if the conditions around you don't seem ideal, even if the sky looks cloudless and the ground looks cracked, you can keep standing in faith, knowing that the rain is on its way. Living with expectation also means preparing for what you're believing for. It means getting yourself ready on the inside, even before the change shows up on the outside. If you're believing for promotion, act like you're already in that new level. And if you're believing for healing, start speaking and living with the mindset of wholeness. If you're believing for restoration, start picturing the relationship healed, the opportunity restored, the dream revived. Preparation is a demonstration of expectation. It's saying, I'm not going to wait until I see it to get excited. I'm going to get excited now because I know it's coming. Sometimes the greatest miracles come not to those who have everything perfect, but to those who dare to believe in the middle of imperfection. Not to those who have it all figured out, but to those who stay faithful when everything looks messy. Not to those who have smooth paths, but to those who keep walking through the rough terrain with hope in their heart. The reality is, what's ahead of you is far greater than what's behind you. But you have to live in a state of expectation to step into it fully. You may be in a place right now where it feels like you've been overlooked. You've been waiting, believing, hoping, and yet it feels like nothing is happening. Let me encourage you. Don't lose your expectancy. Don't let the delays trick you into thinking that the answer isn't coming. Just because it's taking longer than you thought doesn't mean it's denied. It could be that what's being prepared for you is even bigger, even better, even more beautiful than you imagine. Stay expectant, stay ready, stay full of hope. When you live this way, you'll find that even in the toughest seasons, there's an underlying joy that never leaves you. You'll wake up each morning not defeated, but excited, not burdened, but believing, not fearful, but full of faith. And before you know it, the breakthrough will come. The dream will blossom. The doors will swing open. And you'll realize that all along, your expectation wasn't wasted. It was building the bridge that carried you into your destiny. There's a hidden strength in those seasons where it feels like everything has been stripped away. When you find yourself in a place where the familiar comforts are gone, where the usual support systems seem distant, it can feel unsettling. It can feel like you're standing all alone in a vast emptiness with no clear direction, no obvious way forward. But what you may not realize is that it's in those very moments that some of the deepest growth is taking place. It's when everything else is removed that your true source of strength is revealed. It's when the outer layers are peeled back that the inner treasure begins to shine. Sometimes we think that progress only looks like movement, action, visible results. But often, real progress looks like patience. Real growth looks like perseverance. Real maturity is forged in the quiet places where no one is cheering you on, where no one even sees the battles you're fighting. It's in those seasons that your character is being built. It's in those seasons that endurance is taking root. It's in those seasons that your capacity for greater things is being expanded. You might feel like you've been left in a forgotten place, like you've been sidelined while others are moving ahead, but there's a refining process happening that you can't always see. When the surface looks barren, something deeper is being cultivated. Dreams are being purified. Motives are being sharpened. Priorities are being realigned. It's preparation for what's coming next. And if you stay faithful in those hidden seasons, you'll emerge stronger, wiser, and more ready than ever for the opportunities that await you. It's tempting to get discouraged when you don't see immediate fruit from your efforts. It's easy to wonder if you're wasting your time, if you've missed your chance, if you should just settle where you are. But don't mistake silence for absence. Just because you don't see the evidence right now doesn't mean that things aren't happening behind the scenes. There's a timing for every breakthrough. There's a season for every harvest. And just like seeds take time to germinate underground before they break through the soil, The dreams and the promises planted in you are taking root long before you see their first signs above the surface. The desert seasons of life have a way of stripping away distractions. They teach you to listen more closely. They push you to rely on a deeper source of strength. They strip away the things that you thought you needed so that you can discover what you actually have within you. It's in these places that you often find a faith that isn't based on circumstances, a hope that isn't dependent on feelings, a joy that can't be taken away by changing situations. That's a treasure that the easy seasons can never produce. When you look back one day, you'll realize that the times you felt the most abandoned were actually the times you were being prepared the most. The lessons you learned, the resilience you built, the wisdom you gained, those are the things that will sustain you in the future. Those are the tools you'll draw from when new challenges come. Those are the treasures that will allow you to not just survive, but thrive when you step into the blessings that have been prepared for you. It's important to guard your perspective during these times. The mind will want to tell you that nothing is happening, that you're wasting your time, that you should give up. But don't believe those lies. Choose instead to believe that something good is happening, even if you can't see it yet. Choose to believe that this season is not punishment, but preparation. Choose to believe that you are being strengthened in ways that will matter deeply in the days to come. Gratitude can shift everything. Even when you don't feel like it, start finding things to be thankful for. Thankfulness turns what you have into enough. It lifts your eyes from what's missing to what's still present. It reminds you that even in the hardest places, there are still gifts to be found. Moments of grace, glimpses of beauty, whispers of hope. Gratitude keeps your heart soft. It keeps you positioned to receive. It keeps you aligned with the good that is on its way. There's something about surviving the hard seasons that gives you an authority you can't get any other way. When you've walked through the desert and still kept your faith alive, when you've endured the dryness and still kept your hope intact, you carry a strength that inspires others. You become a living testimony that it's possible to go through tough times and come out not bitter but better, not defeated but victorious, not empty but overflowing. So if you find yourself in a place that feels barren right now, don't despair. This is not the end of your story. This is not the final chapter. You're being prepared for something greater than you can imagine. Keep showing up. Keep believing. Keep nurturing the dreams in your heart, even when it feels like nothing is happening. The roots are going deep. The foundation is being set. And in due time, you will step into a season of abundance that will make every desert moment worth it. Sometimes we look at where we are and think it's too dry, too barren, too broken for anything good to happen. We look at the mistakes we've made, the disappointments we've suffered, the missed opportunities, and we're tempted to believe that our best days are behind us. But the truth is, there is no situation so dry that God cannot bring forth new life. There is no desert so empty that it cannot bloom again. What looks dead to you is still alive to Him. What feels final to you is just another chapter to Him. He specializes in bringing beauty from ashes, hope from heartbreak, and victory from defeat. When you feel like your dreams have dried up, when your heart feels like it's been scorched by disappointments, when your surroundings look barren and empty, that's not the time to give up. That's the time to dig your roots deeper. That's the time to stretch your faith wider. Because it's exactly in those dry places that some of the most powerful growth can happen. When everything else is stripped away, when the natural resources run dry, you are forced to tap into the supernatural. You are positioned for a miracle, for an outcome you could have never orchestrated on your own. We often think that the dry places disqualify us. That because it's been so long, because it's been so hard, because nothing has changed, it must mean it's over. But in reality, it's often the opposite. The longer the drought, the greater the celebration when the rain comes. The tougher the battle, the sweeter the victory when it's won. The more impossible the situation seems, the more glory God gets when He turns it around. If you're facing a desert season, you're actually standing in the perfect place for something extraordinary to take place. Don't judge your future by what you see right now. Don't limit your expectations based on your current surroundings. You might see dryness, but God sees a garden. You might see emptiness, but He sees a future filled with abundance. You might see broken dreams, but He sees new beginnings. Just because you can't imagine how something could ever grow here doesn't mean it's not possible. The Creator of the universe doesn't need ideal conditions to work. He can make a way where there is no way. He can bring life out of lifelessness, hope out of hopeless, joy out of sorrow. One of the most powerful things you can do in a desert season is to stay expectant, stay hopeful, stay ready, even when you don't feel it, even when it doesn't make sense. Because expectancy is the soil where miracles grow. When you keep believing that something good can happen, you keep your heart open to receive it. When you keep watching for opportunities, you position yourself to see them when they come. When you refuse to let go of hope, you create an atmosphere where new life can spring up unexpectedly. It's easy to become cynical after a long season of dryness. It's easy to start expecting more disappointment, more delay, more difficulty. But that's not who you are. You were created to believe, to hope, to dream. You carry within you the power to see beyond what is and envision what could be. You have the ability to call forth life in barren places by the words you speak, the prayers you pray, and the dreams you dare to dream again. Don't let the desert steal your vision. Don't let the dryness shrink your faith. Choose to keep seeing beyond the barrenness. Choose to keep watering your dreams with hope. You may not realize it, but every step you take in the desert is leaving a trail of faith behind you. Every prayer you pray, every act of obedience you make, every time you choose hope over despair is creating a path for new life to follow. You're sowing seeds even in the driest soil, and at the right time, those seeds will spring forth. You're laying a foundation that future blessings will be built upon. You're creating a legacy of resilience, faith, and perseverance that others will look to and be inspired by. Don't underestimate the power of perseverance in dry seasons. It may not look glamorous. It may not feel exciting, but perseverance is one of the greatest forces in the universe. It keeps moving forward when everything says to stop. It keeps believing when circumstances scream otherwise. It holds on to hope with both hands when everything else has fallen away. And it's perseverance that eventually cracks the hardest ground and brings forth new life. So today, if you're walking through a dry place, lift your head up. Don't focus on the dust and the heat and the barrenness. Focus on the promise. Focus on the one who is able to bring water to the deserts, flowers to the wasteland, and dreams back to life. Keep believing that even now, beneath the surface, something good is happening. Keep trusting that, even if you can't see it, new life is on its way. Your desert is not your destiny. It's simply a passage. And if you stay faithful, if you stay hopeful, you will see the grass begin to grow. You will see beauty rise out of the barrenness. You will see that the dry places were never wasted. They were simply preparing the ground for a harvest greater than you could imagine. Sometimes we think that just because something is hidden, it means it's not happening. That because we can't see any visible signs of progress, it must mean nothing is growing. But the truth is, the most important growth often happens underground, where no one can see it. Before you ever see the blade of grass break through the soil, there's a whole process going on beneath the surface. Roots are forming. Foundations are being built. Strength is being established. Just because you don't see it right away doesn't mean it's not there. You may be walking through a season where it feels like nothing is changing. You're praying, believing, staying faithful, but everything looks the same. It's tempting to get discouraged, to think your efforts are wasted, to believe your prayers aren't being heard. But what you can't see is the invisible work taking place. God is working behind the scenes. He's aligning the right people, the right opportunities, the right timing. He's preparing you for what He's already prepared for you. Growth is happening in the unseen places. If you were to walk through a desert right after a rainstorm, you might think nothing changed. The ground still looks dry, still looks barren. But give it a little time. Deep under the surface, seeds that have been lying dormant for months, even years, have suddenly been activated by the rain. Something has shifted. Something is stirring. And before long, green shoots will start to break through. Flowers will bloom where it seemed impossible. Life will rise where death seemed permanent. That's how it works in our lives too. There's a season of hidden growth before there's ever a season of visible blessing. You have to be willing to trust the process. Trust that just because you don't see immediate results doesn't mean your faithfulness is in vain. Trust that every prayer you pray, every act of kindness you give, every step of obedience you take is making a difference, even if you can't see it right now. Your seeds are planted, your prayers are watered, your breakthrough is germinating underground. It's not a matter of if you will see it. It's only a matter of when. Sometimes we get frustrated because we're so focused on the outward. We're checking the soil every day, looking for signs, wondering if anything's happening. But the most important part of the growth process is what happens in the hidden places. If a plant breaks through the ground too soon without strong roots, it will wither at the first sign of adversity. It's in the hidden seasons that roots grow deep enough to withstand the storms that will surely come. It's in the hidden seasons that strength is developed, character is refined, resilience is built. Maybe you're in a hidden season right now. You feel like you're buried, overlooked, forgotten. But you're not buried, you're planted. And there's a big difference. Buried means forgotten. Planted means purpose. Buried means the end. Planted means a new beginning. You may feel like you're underground right now, but that's not your final destination. You are growing, you are strengthening, you are being prepared for a greater season of fruitfulness. You can't rush the process. You can't skip the hidden seasons and still be ready for the harvest. What God is doing inside of you right now is too important to be rushed. He's building something lasting. He's establishing something strong. And when the time is right, when your roots are deep enough, you will burst forth with more life, more beauty, more blessing than you ever thought possible. It's easy to celebrate when the grass starts showing, when the doors open, when the blessings come. But real faith is celebrating in the hidden seasons. Real faith is praising God while you're still underground, while you're still waiting, while you're still trusting. Real faith says, I don't have to see it to believe it. I know my God is working. I know my breakthrough is on the way. I know that what's happening underground is setting me up for something amazing. Sometimes the hidden seasons last longer than we expected. Sometimes the growth takes more time than we thought. But that's not a sign that it's not happening. That's a sign that something even bigger is being developed. God is not just preparing a blessing for you, He's preparing you for the blessing. He's making sure that when the opportunity comes, you'll have the strength, the wisdom, and the maturity to step into it fully. So don't get discouraged in the hidden seasons. Don't give up when you don't see immediate results. Keep watering your dreams with faith. Keep nourishing your vision with hope. Keep trusting that beneath the surface, something incredible is happening. Your desert is not barren, it's pregnant with possibility. Your dreams are not dead, they are developing roots that will support a great harvest. One day soon, what you've been believing for will break through the surface. People may be surprised at how quickly it seems to happen, but you'll know the truth. You'll know it wasn't sudden. It was the result of seasons of hidden growth, of silent perseverance, of unseen preparation. What looked impossible will become undeniable. What looked barren will become beautiful. And when you see the grass in your desert, you'll realize that every moment of hiddenness, every second of waiting, every season of trusting was worth it. Friends, just because you're walking through a desert season doesn't mean that your story is over. Just because it feels dry, lonely, or difficult doesn't mean there's no life ahead. God specializes in bringing grass to the desert. He specializes in causing growth in barren places. In the very areas where you feel the most empty, the most broken, the most forgotten, that's where He's about to show up and do something extraordinary. You may not see it yet, but the seeds are planted. The rain is coming. The hidden growth is already happening beneath the surface. Stay faithful. Stay expectant. Keep speaking life over your future. Keep believing when nothing around you looks like it's changing. Because the same God who created rivers in the wilderness is the same God who is working in your life right now. The same God who makes flowers bloom in the desert is the same God who is about to bring beauty out of your brokenness. When the time is right, you're going to see things you never imagined. You're going to rise higher, dream bigger, live stronger than you ever thought possible. And you'll look back and say, it was worth the waiting. It was worth the trusting. It was worth staying faithful in the desert. Get ready, your grass is about to break through. Your desert is about to come alive. The dry places are about to be filled with green, filled with joy, filled with new beginnings. What God has started in you, He will finish. What He has planted, He will cause to grow. Don't give up in the dry places. Your harvest is on the way.